Okay, so watch your hand signal there, make sure it's straight, and make sure your other hand slides towards the dog. There, it shot back. It sort of went back and away from him as you give the sit command. Make sure it slides down the rope and pushes towards the dog because you don't want to accidentally jerk the collar as you give your sit command. So there again, you can see your hands kind of filling out to the side. It should go down and towards the dog. Overall, really nice interaction with the dog here, good pace. Good, you're using your hands on the dog, pushing him around a little bit. Mixing it up here, stopping completely, getting some love in, very nice. Okay, so just here coming up, there you go. You give it sit command. So again, your arm is way out to the side. When you give it, it should slide towards the dog so you're ready to give a faster correction. You're really, really slow on that correction because of that. And if you do have to correct, just make it a little bit more pop to it. It doesn't have to be hard, just a little bit faster, a little bit more shazam to it. Good, nice reward here afterwards. Okay, so we're now about 6 minutes in, and you've done probably, I don't know, about 20 or 30 sit commands. So just remember that you can start to change it up a little bit. So you could try some hand signal only. He's doing well, so you could definitely throw in the odd hand signal only. And when you're having him hold it longer, don't just stand there and stare at him, but actually move around. So you're in the ready position right beside him, but you're shuffling your feet, you're praising him loud. So you're mixing it up a little bit, starting to test with a bit of distraction while you're waiting. Alright, getting creative with distractions here. I like it, I like it. Some good bait going on. Just for future reference, we never put distractions behind the dog, especially in the beginning. And once they're advanced, then occasionally doing that is fine, but it just makes them nervous, especially something loud like that going right directly behind them. So you'll notice that when Ben does it on his volume 4, 5, 6, the dogs are always in front or beside, never behind. Occasionally, they might have to zip behind for some reason, but 9 times out of 10 they're going to stay beside or in front. Yeah, so just again, your sit body language can be just a little cleaned up a little bit. Hand signals straighter up, and other hand sliding down a little better. Again, just little details. You're getting nice results, and your overall body language to help the dog into the sit position is good. It's just little things there. Alright, so you just brought out some food. Look at that change in his body language to bring the food out. Oh, I'm alive, I'm alive. The only thing I would say here is before bringing out food is try toys first. Food isn't ideal because you can see here the dog is so quickly, oh, you got food? Oh, look at me, I can do this, I can do that. Like a total change of dog almost when you bring the food out. And that just doesn't really apply in the real world. So again, it's fine for teaching the dog, how to sit and how to down and how to come because it's nice and easy to manipulate. Easier than toys to manipulate, but just as a motivator, try to stay away from it as much as you can. Again, there's some dogs that just don't like toys, so you can definitely use it, here and there for that. But I would like to have seen you try a toy first. And sometimes even if a dog doesn't like a toy, sometimes picking up something off the ground, in fact that's on the volume, I think it's 4 or something video, where Ben just picks up a little stick or a little feather or something on the ground and starts playing with that. And a lot of dogs love that kind of thing, but don't necessarily like toys. So try something like that first, ideally, instead of just putting the dog straight into food drive. Loves that food. Yummy, yummy. The only thing, I'm really happy overall with your technique, and I'm happy to give your certificate, and provided the other videos are as good as this one. The only thing that you might want to send in, I'm not going to make it a requirement, but you may want to do it just for your own learning, is it'd be nice if I could see some more footage of you teaching a green dog down. I know we talked about different theories of it because you were having trouble, but I haven't actually seen you try the different things I was talking about, so the pushing it towards the dog, the luring under your leg, that type of thing. That's obviously going to be really important that you have that skill down pat for when you're working with a new green dog. So if you want, feel free to send in some footage on you working with a few dogs. Maybe you could go to the SPCA or wherever you were before, and send that in, and I can give you some feedback on it and make sure that's all good. Good, nice. It'll come in. Okay, so just here, you're starting to leave the dog within 5 feet. Stay a little bit closer. You're too far right now. You're probably about 6 to 7 feet, so that rope's going to be awkward to use. Stay close, like think like 2-3 steps away from the dog's side, so that your pulley is up, not forward. That's important. And when you went to correct here, you went and put your hand up and then kind of came in, so that was just a little bit sloppy. So just make sure you're thinking about correct technique. That's just going to take practice. When you're in close, always think silent correction. Within 5 feet, silent. Quick pop up on the leash. If he doesn't sit back down, then move in, make your standard 80-20 correction and try it again. Oh, and that's the end. Alright, so just watching here. Your leash is a little bit tight. See the way it's making a straight line from you to the dog? It's not pulling on the dog per se, but it still has just a little bit of tension on it, and we want to avoid that completely. To your client who's going to be watching from the sidelines, it'll look like you are choking the dog. And they're going to be actually dragging the dog around when they go out to duplicate what you're doing. So make sure it always has some good slack to it. I love that you're using, I think you said these are your brothers. As distractions. That's good. Put them to work. Good, very nice. Make sure you're watching the dog, not the distraction. I know you're trying to direct him as well, but always watching your dog, and specifically that bum. You need to watch that bum. That's the first thing that's going to move. They go to jump up. Very nice. Okay, so just here, you put him in a sit, you went back, and then you called him. Just remember the rules for when you're calling from a position. So the dog's holding a sit or down, same thing. If you're going to call them from it, that's fine. You can start that. Just don't start it too early. I know in the volume 4, 5, 6, he does start it early, but as a general rule of thumb, that would be a little bit too soon. But anyways, that aside, when you do get to where you're going to call the dog from, so when you get back, say you're going to call the dog right now, you want to wait there a minimum 10 seconds before you call the dog. Okay, and that's so they don't start anticipating that when you stop moving, they should jump up. So just a little bit longer wait on the next one. Ooh, what was that? Make sure it's a hey, one step back, freeze, right? Give the dog a chance to respond. Then if they don't, then run in and make your correction. Okay, so you kind of started running and then stopped and went, put your hand up and then said sit. So it was just a little sloppy, a little messy there. So just always be thinking, however far away from you are from the dog, whether you're within 5 feet, outside of 5 feet, be thinking about what you're going to do if the dog breaks, how you're going to correct at that moment. That should be what's on your mind, because the faster you can be with it, the way better the dog's going to respond to it, and so the less likely you are to have to actually move in and make an actual physical correction. I really like the way you're interacting with the dog. You're making it lots of fun, keeping him up. Your body language is superb. Good, nice testing. Very nice, that's better. Good, so you brought out a toy here and he's enjoying that, or a stick or something. So that's good, yeah, that's awesome. And again, dogs like this, he's a little bit lower energy dog. He will kind of like it and then not. So just use it sparingly, tuck it back away, bring it out again when you really need it. Mix it up. Looking good here. Looks like you've got some food back out again, maybe. Just remember not to rely on that food too much. I know you're trying to work on getting that leash out of your hands, but you can't use the food as the reason why the dog is following you. So make sure you mix up reinforcers and not be bribing the dog, right? Like bringing out the food after the fact, you know, after you've done a few good stops and a few good turns and he's right with you. Rewarding him is fine, but try not to have it in your hand bribing him the whole way along. Because all he's learning is, follow the food along, it's fun, I get to eat. But he's not actually learning to follow you. Good, so just again here, make sure you're watching the dog a little bit more carefully. I know you need to keep an eye on him. Make sure he's in the right spot, but make sure you watch that bum of the dog all the time. Very nice. Yes, again, just try to avoid, if you can, having the dog right behind the dog you're working. That's a lot for them, especially in the beginning stages. But see, it makes them a little bit insecure because they can't see what's going on back there. They don't know if the dog's going to jump them or what. Just a little bit faster on your correction. There you go. Instead of so much pulling, just think bam, and repeat it if you need to, but try not to keep the brake tight. It's a little bit snappier. Good, and I probably would have gone again with that, so you didn't really get a victory. You didn't get him to repeat exactly what it was that was making him brake before you sent him away. So always try to get a victory. Oh, looks like you're going to go again here. Okay. So you didn't need to release in between, right? You want to get a victory from the same sit before you start again. The only time you release and repeat is when the dog initially doesn't respond. So you tell him to sit and he doesn't, then you give him business like, okay, new sit command. But if it's just holding, you just have him hold that, keep repeating the distraction until he gets it, then release him, big party. Good, that's much better. Good, make sure you make your release part of his reward here, especially if it was difficult for him. So, okay, good boy, you know, really run. That's a good time for the food, praise him up, like really use that inflection, that big excitement when he gets it right. Excellent, so doing some big distance here while he's holding the sit position, nice testing when you're over there. Really nice. Great overall intensity here as you're training the dog. Looks good. Make sure when you come back to the other side, you always pick up that leash. Just make that part of your habit. You come back, you pick up the leash. Unless, of course, he's off leash, but he isn't, so just try to make that habit. Good, and the fact that you're using a branch here to motivate him, very nice. Okay, so just here he broke, you shouted your hay. Your first one was quite quiet, he kind of hesitated, then you shouted on second hay, and then he sat down. Make sure just once, right, and make it nice and loud the first time, make it count. And when the dog does sit back down, always instantly praise. So you were quiet after it sat down. So always right away, good boy. Let him know, yeah, that's what I wanted. Right away, confirm what they did is right. Good. Good job mixing it up here. Keeping him guessing. Okay, so here you're doing some tree training on the down. Because you're still bribing the dog and you're having to put your hand right to the ground and there's still food in your hand, you really shouldn't be leaving the dog at this point. I would like to see you get some consistent downs without any bribery item in your hand before you ever start leaving them. Okay, just make sure you follow the logical steps with that. Right, so looking good at distractions here. The only thing I haven't seen you do yet is any off-leash. So maybe I missed it, but I was watching pretty carefully to see if you unclipped it. And I haven't seen it yet. So hopefully I will see it in the last video. If not, if there is no off-leash, then you'll want to submit, we'll need you to submit another clip of just you starting a dog off-leash. And just make sure you have a good read through that portion in your trainer's manual. Alright, so I can clearly see there's some off leash here now, so that's good. So you can disregard that comment. Looking good. Remember, just with off leash, obviously, be very careful when you start most dogs, you wouldn't start them in a busy area. You'd start them in a fenced-in area, so baseball diamond, something like that, to make sure if they do happen to run, that they're not going to get hurt. We always start with, oh, sorry, a little sleepy. Always start with just quickly on and off leash, so just 30 seconds off, then back on, off, on, off, on, off, so that the dog's never really too sure when they're on or if they're off. Looking good overall, very nice. Right, so looking good. I'm loving the fact you got a horse in there, as well as a couple other dogs. And creative with your distractions, very nice, very nice. Dog looks like he's doing well, his energy seems up to date. Overall, very nice. Good, looking good. So even though these dogs here, makes it more difficult when the dogs are a little unruly themselves here. So these ones are pulling towards them, towards you, barking, stuff like that. So that makes your job all the more difficult. But you're doing really well. Dog's doing well, so that's awesome. Ideally, you want to have your ambassador dog that's nice and well trained, and we'll hold it down, and then do some tricks, and then we'll hold it down again. Not be lunging at them like these guys, but all the more power to you if you can get the dog responsive even with dogs like this. That's good. Okay, so everything's looking good here. The only thing I would say here is he's a bit of a dopey dog. He's kind of wandering, not really that with you. And you're having to kind of give him little jerks again and again. Instead of using so much leash, try using more hands-on to get his attention. So if he's kind of looking at the other dog and kind of slowly moseying towards him, come up behind him and give him a quick little flank. I think you learned what that was when you were in Victoria. Or just grab anywhere, grab any little piece of skin, grab a little, give a little tug. It's almost like a play thing. Most dogs react by wanting to play. But at the same time, it makes them, oh yeah, I gotta watch this person because they sneak up when I'm not paying attention and get me. So sometimes hands-on can work a little better than the leash because, a lot of dogs, especially an older dog like this one, I assume he's older, they've been on a leash a lot. Those little tugs that you're giving them, really don't care that much. But sometimes a little bit different hands-on can make a big, big difference. Very nice. Repeat on that come. Oh, except for the sit part. Whoops. Yeah, well, so close. So the only thing lacking here in your footage is hand signal only. I don't think I've seen any hand signal only. So don't forget those on the sit, on the down, on the come. All of those should also be done with hand signal only. Voice only we don't get to in basic training, so that's definitely more advanced. But hand signal only for sure. And you could have started that session 1 even. Alright, so overall, yeah, really good technique. You definitely have a very natural way with dogs. Your general body language and how to use your body to motivate them to move with you, to stay back, to what you're conveying is very natural, very good. So you're definitely going to have an easy time working with dogs. You'll be a great trainer. Just some little details, little technique stuff that you just need to keep on top of, clean up. But overall, looks awesome. And yeah, we'd love to hear how you make out with your first clients. You'll probably thoroughly impress yourself once you actually get into it and realize, hey, look, I can actually do this. That's Sadie. Whiny pants Sadie. You did what you were going to do. Definitely have a little trouble with that sit when it gets to you. So you may want to think about sharpening up your body language a little bit to help him into position. Really pull those hands up, jump towards him when he gets to you. And that's it.